Is the $2,000 I send you every month still enough for your rent, darling? Grandma's voice sliced through the room like a scalpel. I swear the silverware froze midair. My cousin Jasmine choked on her rosé. My father stopped carving the roast. And my stepmother, her glossy lips curled into a smile like she'd just caught me with my pants down. And maybe in some way, she had. Everyone turned to look at me. Every perfectly dressed and a pedigree-obsessed member of the Whitmore family. And suddenly, the air at that Oakwood dinner table felt heavy as hell. That moment was supposed to be about my sister's engagement toast. But now, it was my trial. And Grandma, the matriarch of a banking empire with her diamonds glinting like warning signs, just lit the damn fuse. Why would she say that now? What rent? I thought he had a job. $2,000 a month? Since when? The murmurs hit like bullets. Let me back up, just a little. My name's Damon Whitmore. I'm 28, half black, half white, and entirely out of place in this family of manicured millionaires. On paper, I'm a software consultant. In real life, I'm a walking secret wrapped in a lie, duct-taped with bad decisions. I grew up bouncing between my mom's modest townhouse in Philly and weekends in Manhattan penthouses with my father's new family, his rich, north blonde second wife and her 2 creepy sons who called me the side project. I hated this world, but I needed it. A year ago, I made a deal with Grandma. Keep your mouth shut about what you know, Damon, and I'll help you stay afloat. She never said why, and I never asked. I needed that money, that silence, that protection. In exchange, I did what Whitmores do best, pretend. Pretend I was loyal. Pretend I was grateful. Pretend I didn't know the family business wasn't just finance but laundering through a hedge fund tied to offshore casinos. But back to tonight. I blinked, tried to recover. Yes, Grandma, it's enough. Thank you. Too late. The wolves had smelled the blood. Wait, Jasmine snapped, her French-tipped nails curling around her wine glass. $2,000? Every month? Since when does Grandma do charity? She always had that tone, like sex and sabotage were hobbies. And judging by the way her silk slip dress clung to her fake perfect body, she'd come to this dinner ready for drama. Dad cut in. Damon, I thought you were working for that tech firm in Seattle. I am, I said, swallowing. But even I didn't believe me. Then why is your rent being paid by Grandma? What else are you hiding? Is he broke? On drugs? Gay? The questions fired like a machine gun. I looked at Grandma, but she sipped her champagne like this was just another Tuesday. What game was she playing? That's when Jasmine leaned back in her chair, crossing her legs slowly, deliberately. The slit of her dress slid open to reveal just enough thigh to break a priest's resolve. She smiled. Or maybe, she purred, our dear cousin is just really, really good at pleasing old women. Laughter exploded. Even the help in the hallway tried to stifle a snort. My ears burned, my pulse pounded. But the worst part, I saw it coming. And I didn't stop it, because a week ago Jasmine saw me leaving a hotel. Not just any hotel, her hotel. And not just alone. I was with Elle. Elle, the 22-year-old intern working under my father. Blonde, busty, eager, and not very subtle. The kind of girl who bit her lip every time she looked at me like she wanted me to rip her blouse open and shove her against the wall of her daddy's boardroom. And that's exactly what happened. Twice. Jasmine saw us. She didn't say a word. Until now. Now, her eyes were locked on me. Daring me. Mocking me. So tell us, she said, is the internship the only thing she got from you? A beat of silence. Then my stepmother, the one who barely looked at me for years, finally spoke. Damon, you know your father's reputation is everything, she said, voice soft, fake sweet. If you're involved in anything inappropriate with interns, you need to be honest. Her tongue flicked the rim of her wine glass. I noticed the red stain on her lipstick. It matched her dress, tight, velvet, dripping sex like poison. What the hell was going on? Why now? Why tonight? What were they building toward? Because this wasn't just a public humiliation. This was coordinated. I glanced around the room, heart thudding. They were circling me, and I didn't even know what for. Was it Elle? The money? The thing Grandma and I buried last summer? I remembered the night she handed me the envelope, thick, cream-colored, sealed in wax. If anyone ever finds out what happened in Montauk, she whispered, we're all dead. That envelope was hidden in my apartment, locked away, but now, had someone found it? I tried to laugh it off. Look, it's not a big deal. Grandma just wanted to help me out after my lease got messed up, that's all. But my voice cracked, and Jasmine's smile grew wider. "Oh, honey," she whispered, "it's always a big deal with you." And that's when it happened. Grandma stood, tapped her glass. The room quieted. "I think it's time we all heard the truth," she said. And from her purse she pulled something small, black, shiny. A flash drive. No, not that one. She couldn't have. My knees went cold. How did she get it? What was on it? Why now? But more importantly, what the hell was she about to show them? The flash drive glinted under the chandelier's golden light like it had a heartbeat of its own. Grandma didn't say a word. She handed it to my father, quiet, deliberate, and he walked to the corner cabinet where a discreet 75-inch flat screen was tucked behind antique paneling, the kind of TV you only pull out when you're about to destroy someone. "Let's see what Damon's been up to," he said, voice calm. Too calm. I wanted to scream, to grab the drive, to flip the whole damn table. But I couldn't move, because if it was that flash drive, if it had even 1 second of what I thought it might, it wouldn't just be my life ruined, it'd be theirs too. And they knew it, which meant this was a bluff. Right? Right. "Before we start," Jasmine said, standing up, adjusting her dress just enough to reveal the lacy top of her thigh-highs, "maybe we should give Damon a chance to confess. I mean, if he wants to beg for forgiveness, this might be the time." She walked behind me, fingertips trailing across the back of my chair. Her perfume hit me, warm vanilla and danger. Then she leaned down, lips inches from my ear. "Or do you want me to tell them what you did to Elle in the elevator?" My heart stuttered. God, that elevator. She must have seen the camera footage. Elle's back pressed against the mirrored wall, my hands lifting her skirt, her moans echoing like a fucking porno soundtrack. She begged me to finish before the doors opened, and I did, seconds before a couple in suits stepped in. But that wasn't even the worst of it. That was the same night I saw Jasmine at the rooftop bar, wearing nothing but a black satin dress and those eyes that said, "I know what you are, and I want it too." Why hadn't I left when I had the chance? The screen lit up, the cursor hovered. Dad clicked on the first file, but it wasn't the elevator. It was a bank statement. A wire transfer, multiple ones. To me, $2,000 on the first of every month, sent from Crescent Fund Ltd., not from Grandma's personal account, from a shell company, offshore, Cayman Islands. I froze. What the hell was Crescent Fund doing involved? And why were the account IDs familiar? Dad hit pause. "You told me you were working for a Seattle firm," he said, turning to me. "Why are you receiving funds from one of our off-grid portfolios?" My mouth opened. Nothing came out. Then Grandma, standing tall in her midnight blue gown, said coldly, "Because I asked him to deliver something last summer, something the rest of you didn't need to know about." Wait, was she protecting me? Or setting me up? Jasmine laughed. "You mean Montauk?" The room went still again. Even the servants froze in the hallway. I'd hoped no one else knew about Montauk. I'd buried that weekend so deep I wasn't even sure it had really happened. The whispers, the body on the beach, the boat that vanished, the man Grandma said we had to pretend never existed. "Tell them, Damon," Jasmine said sweetly. "Tell them what you saw." Or should I tell them? "No one's telling anyone anything," Grandma cut in sharply. "We'll discuss it as a family." But it was too late. Pandora's box had been cracked. "What happened in Montauk?" my stepmother asked, cocking an eyebrow. "Was that the same trip where you went missing for 2 days?" My father asked, narrowing his eyes. I tried to breathe, but then Jasmine dropped the bomb. "Elle told me he came back covered in blood." Gasps. I stood up. "That's not." She showed me his shirt and photos. He told her he hit a deer, but Elle's not stupid. She ran the plate on the rental Jeep he used. She walked to the TV, pressed play on another file. Dashcam footage, grainy, night vision, trees flashing past. Then bam, a shape in the road, a scream. I remembered it, too vividly, except it wasn't a deer, it was a man. And he didn't get up. I remembered Grandma's voice, cold as steel. "We don't call police. You don't know his name. You don't tell anyone." My legs buckled. "Oh my God," my sister whispered. "You killed someone?" My father growled. "He was blackmailing the family," Grandma snapped. "He threatened to expose everything. Damon did what I asked." Now the room exploded, my father yelling, my sister sobbing, my stepmother quietly texting someone. Jasmine, smiling. Why? Why was she so calm? And that's when I saw it. The earpiece in her right ear, tiny flesh-colored, someone was feeding her lines. I wasn't just being outed, I was being played. She turned to me, eyes gleaming. You thought Elle was just a toy, she said, but she recorded everything. Every conversation. Every time you bragged in bed about how the family launders cash through charitable foundations. Every time you begged for more from Grandma. Every time you thought you were safe. She pulled out her phone. Should I air it all? Or do you want to strip and beg right here on the table? The room gasped again, but not in horror, in anticipation. My stepmother shifted in her seat, legs crossing slowly, a visible flush on her chest. Jasmine was biting her lip. Even my own sister wasn't looking away. They wanted to watch me break. They wanted me naked, metaphorically, maybe literally. Power in this family was traded in whispers and bodies. I was just another sacrifice. You want a confession? I snapped, stepping forward. I reached for my belt. Jasmine's eyes widened. What the hell are you doing? My father shouted. I undid the buckle. You want humiliation, you want blood, you want sex, scandal, betrayal. I threw the belt to the floor. Fine. Let's give the Whitmores a show. Then I turned to Jasmine. But just remember, I hissed, I don't come without leaving a mark. And the thing none of them knew. That wasn't the real flash drive. The real one, with the truth, was still hidden. And I had plans for every damn person in that room. Jasmine didn't flinch. If anything, her pupils dilated just a little. Excitement, maybe. Fear, definitely. But she held her ground as I stared her down, shirt open now, exposing the scratch marks on my chest from my last encounter with Elle. Some of them still raw, some of them fresh. I didn't care anymore, because now I knew this wasn't just a smear campaign, it was a fucking coup. And Jasmine? She was the face, but she wasn't the mastermind. Put your clothes back on, Dad barked. Or what? I said, voice low. You'll hit me like you did that intern. You think I didn't see the settlement money slip out of Crescent Fund's accounts? The silence was suffocating. Sit down, he growled. I'd rather burn the whole damn table first. I scanned their faces. All of them had something to lose. My father with his crumbling reputation. My stepmother with her fake charity that funneled tax-free millions. My sister with her socialite career barely hanging on after that coke arrest in Miami. And Jasmine. Jasmine had secrets layered under that silk dress like dynamite under perfume. But it wasn't Jasmine who reacted first. It was my stepmother. She stood, slowly, letting her wine glass clink against the table. You know, she said, voice smooth as bourbon, you always were a problem. You looked too much like your mother. Sounded too much like truth. And I hate truth. She walked around the table, heels clicking. I never told your father what I saw that night, she continued. You and Elle. In his office, her skirt bunched around her waist. Your hands, doing things a son should never do on the leather his father signs million-dollar contracts on. A gasp from my sister. My father stood, veins bulging in his neck. You what? I recorded it, my stepmother said, and sent it to Jasmine. We thought we might need leverage one day. Jasmine smiled, victorious. She moaned your name, Damon, she said. In that video. Over and over. You sounded proud, like you wanted someone to catch you. I didn't flinch, because I had. Not because I wanted to get caught, but because I wanted control. Elle had begged me to slow down, to be gentle. But I'd gripped her wrists, pressed harder, told her she'd remember this every time she walked past my father's office. You all think this is about sex, I said, my voice suddenly calm. This isn't about who I fucked. I looked at Grandma. She still hadn't sat down. This is about what I found in Montauk. Her eyes didn't waver. You promised, she said. No, I snapped. You promised. I kept my end. I buried the hard drive, the records, the names. But you, I pointed around the table, you let them tear me apart for what you ordered me to do. Jasmine narrowed her eyes. What the hell are you talking about? I walked to the head of the table and grabbed the wine bottle, pouring myself a glass like I owned the place. You really think Montauk was just an accident, I said. You think the man I hit just wandered into our family's little retreat by coincidence? He was sent by an FBI agent. Now their faces changed. Panic. Real panic. My father sat down hard. You said he was a thief, he whispered to Grandma. You said he stole data. He did, she snapped. He stole from us. No, I said coldly. He was exposing us. And then I reached into my pocket and pulled out the second flash drive. The real one. Their faces drained of color. What's on that? My father demanded. Everything. Financial records, secret meetings, video footage, emails, bribery logs, sex tapes, surveillance from Montauk. And most damning of all, voice recordings of Grandma ordering me to neutralize the man in the woods. You wouldn't, Grandma said, stepping forward. I would, I said, unless. Unless what? Jasmine snapped. I walked toward her, slowly, deliberately. You help me? Help you what? I leaned down until my lips were inches from her ear. Take them all down. She blinked. What makes you think I'd betray them for you? I reached under the table, slid a hand up her thigh. She gasped, more in shock than resistance. You already have, I whispered. That night in the sauna, you told me everything, your resentment, your plans, how you wanted Grandma to finally choke on her throne. Her thighs trembled, her breath hitched. The room was spinning out of control, and I was finally steering the wheel. Grandma laughed. Oh, you two think you're clever, she said, but this family's run on betrayal since 1894. You think sex and secrets make you dangerous. She walked over to the fireplace and pressed something under the mantel. A hidden safe slid out of the wall. She reached in and pulled out a Glock. Everything stopped. Even the candles flickered like they were scared. I built this empire with blood, she said, and I'll kill to keep it. Do it, I said, stepping forward, arms out. Do it in front of all of them. Show them who you really are. She raised the gun, just a few feet away, her hands steady. You're not going to shoot me, Grandma. Why not? I smirked. Because Jasmine sent that video to 6 people, and one of them has a dead man's badge. Her eyes twitched, the gun lowered, an inch. And if you pull that trigger, I said, you'll light up more than just my chest. You'll light up every federal server from DC to LA. The silence stretched, then she put the gun down. Not because she believed me, because she knew I wasn't bluffing. I took a long breath, but just as I turned to Jasmine, she whispered something I didn't expect. You're not safe either. I froze. What? She leaned in, her tongue brushing my ear. Elle's pregnant. The world tipped sideways. Pregnant, I stepped back like she'd slapped me. No, I whispered, that's not. She showed me the test, Jasmine said, voice flat, and a voicemail. You remember, the night you told her she was just a distraction, a pair of tits with loose lips. My stomach turned. That night, I'd been drunk, cocky, cruel. Elle had begged me to stay. She cried, half naked, clutching the hotel sheet like it could hold her together. I left her there and never looked back. She kept everything, Damon, Jasmine continued. You didn't break her, you built her into your executioner. But she wanted it just as much. Doesn't matter what she wanted, Jasmine cut in, sharp and brutal. You left evidence, and now she's using it. You're not a predator in this game, you're prey. I looked around the room. My father wouldn't meet my eyes. My stepmother whispered furiously into her phone. My sister was crying silently now, mascara running down her cheeks like black guilt. And Grandma? Grandma just watched, waiting. This wasn't over. This was war. Where is she now? I asked Jasmine, voice tight. Elle, Jasmine smirked. She's in DC with a lawyer and a flash drive of her own. I'll find her. You won't. Watch me. I turned to leave. Then Jasmine said the one thing that stopped me cold. She's not just going after you, she said. She's going after us, all of us, and if you don't stop her, she'll bury the entire Whitmore family. Grandma finally spoke. Calm, controlled. Then we bury her first. It took me a second to realize what she meant. You're not serious. She's a liability. She's a person. She's carrying my child. She's a threat, Grandma said, and threats get eliminated. I felt something crack inside me. A bone? A belief? Maybe both. No, I said. No more. I turned and left the room. I didn't care about protocol anymore. I didn't care about bloodlines or bank accounts or secret trusts in the Virgin Islands. I cared about the girl who might be carrying my baby, and the fact that I'd let her walk into a storm I'd created. Elle lived in a townhouse in Georgetown. I used an old burner phone to track her Uber account through a back door I'd written into the rideshare app last year during a side gig. Yeah, privacy was never really my thing. I watched her from across the street for hours. She didn't know I was there. She looked different, harder, but beautiful. Pregnancy suited her. Fuck. I walked up to the door just past 11 p.m. She opened it before I knocked. I knew you'd come, she said softly. Her eyes were tired, her body wrapped in a pale blue silk robe, the shape of her belly barely visible, but there. Real. You lied, I said. To Jasmine, to everyone. She raised an eyebrow. And you didn't? Touche. I didn't mean for it to go this far. You told me I was nothing, she whispered, voice trembling. Do you know what that does to a woman after she gave you everything? I was scared. No, you were powerful, she said, and power makes men cruel. She turned to and stopped. I recorded everything, Damon. I have hours of footage. Your family's secrets, your voice, your hands. I know. Her shoulders stiffened, and I sent it to the FBI already. I nodded. Okay. She turned, shocked. Okay? You want to destroy the Whitmores. Do it. Just let me help. She laughed, bitter, unbelieving. I don't trust you. You don't have to. Just trust that I hate them more than you do. Silence. Then she stepped aside and let me in. For days we worked side by side, sorting files, cross-referencing bank accounts, mapping the entire Whitmore financial network. Elle was ruthless, brilliant, beautiful. She slept curled up on the couch, her hand over her stomach like she was protecting something sacred. And every night, I sat by the window asking myself, is this what redemption looks like? But it wasn't just logistics. One night, I found myself tracing the stretch marks on her thighs as she slept. They weren't imperfections. They were proof that she'd grown something, survived something. When she woke, she looked at me like I was still a stranger. But her fingers curled around mine, and I knew I was in too deep. That night, I kissed her belly and promised silently that I wouldn't let the Whitmores touch her, no matter the cost. But then, the door shattered at 3:47 a.m. Masked men, guns, no words, just violence. I fought back wildly. One of them clipped my jaw with a rifle butt. Elle screamed. They grabbed the laptop, the backups, the flash drives, but they didn't touch her. Why? Why take the data but leave her alive? Unless this wasn't just a raid. It was a warning, a message. We see you, and we're not done. I bled all over her carpet, my nose broken, my ribs bruised. Elle knelt beside me, cradling my head. They'll come back, she whispered. They won't stop. Yes, they will. How? I looked up and smiled. We burned the last piece of leverage they don't know exists. Her eyes narrowed. What piece? I pulled out a small object from my pocket. A ring box. Inside wasn't a ring. It was a SIM card, encrypted, untraceable, linked to a server buried in a dead developer's private cloud. On that card, a video of my grandmother, ordering a hit with timestamps, voice print matches, GPS coordinates. Elle stared at it. You kept this the whole time? I nodded. I told you. I hate them more than you ever will. We didn't sleep. Not after that night. Elle sat at the kitchen island, one hand resting protectively on her belly, the other shaking as she held the SIM card like it was a live grenade. Her robe clung to her thighs, slightly damp with sweat, revealing the soft curve of her hip beneath. Even bruised, bleeding, terrified, I couldn't stop watching her. She was the most dangerous woman I'd ever known, and the most beautiful. They know where we are, she said quietly. They'll come again. They won't, I answered, biting down on the pain in my ribs. Because we're not staying. Then where? Chicago. There's a man there, name's Marcus Dillinger, former forensic investigator, went rogue, owes me a favor. You trust him? No. Then why? Because I only need him to trust you. She stared at me. The implication hung in the air like smoke. You want me to go alone? I want you safe. I'm not leaving you. You're carrying my child, Elle, I said, stepping forward, cupping her face. That means you don't get to be reckless anymore. Tears welled in her eyes. Do you even want this baby? The question landed like a fist. I didn't answer right away. I just knelt, slowly, painfully, and pressed my forehead to her belly. The skin was warm, alive. I don't know how to be a father, I whispered, but I know I won't let anyone hurt either of you. I promise. She didn't say anything, but her fingers slid into my hair, and I knew I still had a chance. The next 48 hours were a blur of burner phones, fake IDs, and cryptocurrency. I wired funds through a crypto mixer, masked the signal, and sent Elle to Chicago with a new name and a gun she didn't want to hold. I told her I'd follow in 2 days. It was a lie, because I had unfinished business. I was going back to the Whitmore estate, not to beg, not to explain, to finish it. I didn't bring weapons. I brought something worse. Truth. The estate was mostly empty when I arrived. The engagement party was off. Jasmine had gone dark on social media, unusual for someone who lived to post bikini photos and cryptic Bible verses between cocaine binges. I let myself in through the side gate, still had the code, 8362, Grandpa's death year, ironic. The house smelled of orchids and fear. Then I saw her, Grandma, sitting in the study like she'd been waiting. Her hair was perfectly pinned. Her heels crossed neatly. A brandy glass trembled slightly in her hand. She was nervous. "Where's the rest of them?" I asked. "They're gone," she said. "Jasmine's in Turks and Caicos. Your father's with his lawyers. Your stepmother's having a facelift. And you stayed behind." I never run from a war I started. I stepped into the room and dropped the SIM card onto her desk. She stared at it. Her fingers twitched. "I always knew you'd turn," she said softly. "You had too much of her in you. My mother, she was the only woman your father ever feared," Grandma whispered. "She didn't beg. She didn't obey. She looked at me like I was just a woman." "You are just a woman," I snapped. "A scared, evil, brilliant woman, but that's all you'll ever be." Her face didn't change, but something in her eyes cracked. "I made you powerful," she said. "You made me hollow. You made yourself that way." I leaned forward, resting my hands on the edge of her desk. "Tell me," I said, "who else did you have killed? How many lives did you bury to keep our name clean?" She said nothing, so I played the recording. Her voice, cold, measured. "Take care of him, quietly. No blood." Her eyes glistened. I stopped the audio. "You kill me," I said. "That recording hits the Department of Justice within the hour." "I'm not going to kill you," she said, then stood, walked around the desk, and slapped me. Hard. I staggered slightly, more from shock than pain. She gripped my face. Her nails dug into my skin. "I should have drowned you the day you were born," she whispered. "You were always going to be my undoing." "Then let's not waste any more time." I pulled a document from my coat. A contract, a resignation letter, a confession, a carefully crafted suicide note for her public persona. Everything needed to erase her from the family legacy, without a single gunshot. "If you sign this," I said, "you'll disappear, quietly, to Switzerland. I'll even pay for the nurse who wipes your ass. And if I don't, I'll play your voice ordering a hit on an FBI agent to every media outlet in the world." She stared at me, then smiled. "You really are my grandson," she signed. When I left the estate, the skies broke open with rain. I didn't run. I walked, let it drench me, clean me, baptize me in the wreckage of the Whitmore name. Elle called me from a burner 2 hours later. "I saw the news," she said. "The family's dissolving the trust," I said. "Grandma's retired, the hedge fund's under audit. And you?" "I'm coming home." "You mean Chicago?" "I mean to you." She didn't say anything, but I heard her breath catch. Then she whispered, "I'm still scared. So am I. But I want you here. I'm already on the way." As I drove west across the country into the arms of the only woman who ever saw me as more than a name and a body, I realized something. I hadn't escaped the Whitmores. I ended them. And for once, I didn't feel empty. I felt alive. But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Because Jasmine hadn't posted in 5 days. And that could only mean one thing. She was planning something. I should have known Jasmine wouldn't let it go. 5 days of silence from her was louder than any threat. I'd seen her operate before, how she ruined a sorority sister's entire life because she wore the same dress to a gala, how she seduced a married senator just to leak his texts before the midterms. Jasmine didn't forgive. She waited. So when I stepped off the Greyhound in Chicago, my eyes scanned every shadow, every black SUV, every man in a baseball cap who held eye contact too long. Elle met me on the sidewalk. She wore a hoodie over her bump and aviators too big for her face. But the moment I touched her, I felt the tremble under her skin. "You sure no one followed you?" she asked. "No one I could see." She glanced at the corner. "That's the problem." We got in the car, drove north to a safe house Dillinger had arranged, an abandoned photography studio turned underground panic room. Soundproof, no windows, one exit, Wi-Fi wired through a ghost node. Paranoia was survival now. Elle pulled off her hoodie and let her hair fall. She hadn't dyed it in weeks. Her roots were dark, her face thinner, her breasts heavier. My eyes lingered longer than they should have, because this woman wasn't the Elle I met. This Elle was lethal. "You still have the SIM card backup?" she asked. I nodded. "In the lining of my coat." "You trust Dillinger? Enough to kill him if I have to." She gave me a sharp look. "Don't joke about that." "I'm not." That night, we lay on the twin mattress on the studio floor, her belly against my side, her fingers tracing the scar on my chest from the Montauk crash. "Do you still think about it?" she whispered. "All the time. The blood? The body?" "No," I said, turning toward her. "I think about what I felt when I realized he wasn't a stranger. He was a messenger. Someone trying to stop all this before it began. And we stopped him. Grandma stopped him. I just drove. But you chose not to turn back. Silence. Then her lips brushed my collarbone, and lower. I flinched. You're hurt, she whispered. I'm hard, I corrected. She laughed, a breathy sound, and slid her hand into my waistband. You want redemption, she whispered. You want to feel like a man again? Then show me who you are now, Damon. I kissed her like I was starving, like her mouth was the only clean thing left in my world. And when I entered her, slow and deep, her fingers clawed my back and her breath hitched with every inch, and I swore I'd never betray this again. But just as I came, just as her moan filled the silence, I saw movement in the shadows outside the glassless skylight. A red dot. Laser. Sniper. Fuck. I rolled us off the bed, grabbed her by the wrist, and pulled her into the corner just as the shot shattered the ceiling above us. Glass and drywall exploded. She screamed. I grabbed the Glock from the drawer, flipped the switch to safety off. Stay here, I said. Don't. But I was already moving. The side exit was blocked. The main door, kicked open seconds later. Dillinger, gun drawn, eyes wide. You didn't tell me you brought her here, he shouted. You didn't tell me someone wanted us dead. He ducked as another shot rang out. This one missed his skull by half an inch. We've been compromised. No shit. I told you Jasmine was too quiet, Elle hissed, crawling to the laptop. Within seconds, she was routing a signal through an onion layer proxy. I'm wiping the drives, she said. No, I snapped. Send the files. To who? To everyone. She stared at me. You sure? Do it. Within 30 seconds, we had just burned every bridge. The files went to every major newsroom, federal office, and activist org in the country. Names, dates, accounts, transactions, even the sex tapes. Let them all choke on it. Outside, the sniper stopped firing. Too late. I walked into the alley behind the studio and held my arms out. Come on, I muttered. Come finish the job. But the rooftop was empty. They were gone. Why? Because this wasn't an execution. It was a test. And we just passed. 3 hours later, the internet melted. Whitmore files trended globally. CNN, MSNBC, even Fox. Every outlet got a different piece of the puzzle, and no one could deny it now. Grandma's audio ordering a hit, my father's hush money, my stepmother's embezzlement. Jasmine, the sex videos. Every dirty lie dressed in couture was now splayed across a million screens. Elle and I hid in a motel off I-94, wrapped in a blanket, watching the chaos we created. She leaned her head on my shoulder. You think this'll end it? No, I said. It'll start it. What do we do now? We wait. But in my bones, I knew something wasn't done, because I still hadn't heard from Jasmine. And I'd learned something from being a Whitmore. When the world burns, the one who smiles last is the one still holding the match. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did Elle. Even with the world crashing down on the Whitmore dynasty, arrests, lawsuits, headlines screaming about generational corruption, there was no peace, no real sense of victory, because Jasmine was still out there, and Jasmine didn't lose. She just recalculated. At 4:23 a.m., my burner phone buzzed. Unknown number, no caller ID. I picked up. Her voice slid through the speaker like silk dipped in venom. Well played, cousin. Where are you? Close enough to hear you whisper in your sleep. I froze. My eyes darted to the motel curtains, closed, but not locked. The AC unit rattled faintly. The sound of traffic, nothing else. You can't scare me, Jasmine. Of course not, she purred. You're a father now. That baby gives you a reason to pretend you're noble, like you're not still the same boy who came in Elle's mouth while watching Grandma's stock price rise. My breath caught. She told you? She told me everything, because she thought I'd help her, but I'm not her friend, Damon. I'm her insurance policy. What do you want? Oh, I don't want anything from you, she said. I want to give you a gift. I don't need your gifts. Oh, this one's not for you, it's for your child. A beat. What? Open your inbox. Click. A video file. No subject line. I played it. Grainy footage, hospital room, ultrasound monitor, Elle's face visible. The screen showed a tiny flickering heartbeat. The date was yesterday. She'd gone in alone. Jasmine whispered, I own your legacy now. I stood slowly, fists clenched. If you touch her, you'll what? Burn me? You already did, and I'm still here. What do you want, Jasmine? She paused. Then, I want it all. You already had it all. No, she growled. Grandma had it. Then you tried to take it, but now it's mine, because you just leveled the family. You cut down the tree. And I'm gonna plant something in its place. My name. My empire. I swallowed hard. And what does that mean for us? You're not a threat anymore, Damon. You're a relic, a fuck-up with a conscience. She paused again. But don't worry, I'm not gonna kill you. How generous. I'm gonna let you live long enough to watch me raise your daughter in a world where you don't matter. My heart stopped. Daughter? She told me the sex last night. She was so emotional. Jasmine mocked. Hormones, probably. Or maybe she just wanted someone to actually listen. Click. The line went dead. I stared at the phone like it might explode. Then Elle stirred in the bed. She saw my face. What happened? I didn't answer. I couldn't. She sat up, brushing hair from her face. The sunlight kissed her cheekbones, soft and glowing. Then she asked the one thing I couldn't lie about. Damon, is it over? I looked at her belly. At the life we created, the war we just survived, and the war we were still in. No, I whispered. Not yet. 2 weeks later, Elle and I stood in a courtroom in Manhattan, not to testify, to claim. The Whitmore estate had been frozen, but Jasmine had filed emergency motions to assume guardianship over the remaining trust assets, arguing that the rest of the family was either indicted or fled. I filed a counter motion, and I brought proof of everything. Jasmine's blackmail, the bribery, even the hit she greenlit on the safe house. She wasn't untouchable anymore. But she still showed up to court dressed like a billionaire widow. Black blazer, no bra, nipples proud under silk. Her heels echoed on the marble like gunshots. She wore power like perfume. She sat across from us, legs crossed, gaze unblinking. Enjoy this little fantasy while you can, she mouthed silently. The world remembers me. And for a second, I believed her. Until the judge spoke. I've reviewed the recordings, the statements, and the forensic logs. Miss Whitmore, the court finds you ineligible to control any family assets. Your petition is denied. She blinked. A single crack in the mask. Then, the judge turned to me. And Mr. Whitmore, you are now the sole surviving, unindicted adult in this bloodline. I stood. Elle gripped my hand. The judge nodded. Control of the trust is yours. I looked over at Jasmine. Her face was frozen in a rage so cold it could stop a heartbeat. I leaned in, smiled, and whispered, now you get to watch me win. The press exploded. Black Sheep Whitmore takes the throne. Revenge heir claims corrupt fortune. Family secrets and sex tapes rock elite dynasty. Elle and I left Manhattan that same night. Quietly, with a plane ticket to Portugal and a promise to never look back. But on the jet, just as the champagne was poured, she reached into her coat and pulled out another flash drive. I frowned. What's that? She smiled, soft, dangerous. Something I didn't send. What's on it? Proof. Jasmine ordered 2 hits. My pulse spiked. Why didn't you say anything? Because we didn't need it yet. Yet? She leaned in, lips brushing mine. You think you're the mastermind, Damon, she whispered. I'm carrying your daughter. I just inherited your future, and I play for keeps. Then she kissed me, and I knew. This wasn't the end. This was the beginning of a new empire, ours.